Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ybot, and I bring you Kargath in Highmaul on LFR. So, this video here is an introductory video to tanking in a raid environment. So, this is targeted mostly at people who are basically like me, people who don't really tank that much or at all in a guild. And primarily they do their tanking in 5-mans, heroic 5-mans, normal 5-mans, and they're looking to maybe dip their toes into tanking an LFR, but they're a little bit nervous. There's, at least for me as a competent player, who does not want to screw up and let the group of complete strangers that are there with him down. There is a bit of a fear of the unknown and of tanking, and this video is designed to try to alleviate that fear. Indeed, this is going to be a series of videos that are going to try to alleviate that fear, and to start off, because I've had some experience with Highmaul already as a DPS, and a little bit as a healer actually in the first wing as well, I am just going to go ahead and jump blindly into this. I've seen what the tanks do so far, so we're going to see if I can do it. So, I did, however, look at the dungeon journal, which I figured that was all you needed to do, is you need to look at the dungeon journal, you need to figure out the mechanics, which are Impale. So, Impale is a debuff that causes Kargath to do additional damage to you if you continue to tank him. So this requires a tank switch, which is a mechanic that you see in nearly all raid fights in one degree or another. Either that or an additional add. And he's doing his other major ability in the arena here, which is charging and slashing at a ranged DPS, which they just lead him into a fire pillar. As a tank in LFR, this has never happened to anyone that I've seen tanking him. So you shouldn't have to worry about this. So once the Impale has been on there, then the other tank needs to pick him up. So the other tank, as you can see, now is impaled. So Kargath is going to chuck him off, so I need to pick him up now as the tank. And he is doing his other mechanic now, which is chain hurl. So for this, you need to make sure that the tank who has the most recent impale stack is the one who's going up into the bleachers there, and is going to be fighting all the adds, AoE tanking them down. So we've done that. My Impale is going to wear off in a few seconds. And the melee or the ranged DPS is pulling him into the fire pillar. And apart from that, that's really all there is to it. I'd recommend tanking him on the elevator you came up on, in the big stone circle in the center of the room. Unlike normal, heroic, and mythic, you do not have to worry about the little kitty cats. They are safe and secure in their cages. You can stand as ranged DPS on them the entire fight in LFR and they will not come out. And yeah, we pretty much have him almost all the way down here. So that's all there is to it, basically. There's not that much. You need to tank switch when he impales one of the tanks. And apart from that, just use your normal tanking rotation there. If something gets screwed up, if you end up somehow tanking him with an impale, you're probably still okay, but I'd suggest blowing a cooldown at that point until the other tank can come in and take over. So there really isn't much more to cover on Kargath, apart from going up into the bleachers there, and for that, just use your judgment, stay relatively close to your healer, pick up as many adds as you can. There's a counter for the number of bombers or belchers that you need to take down, and if you don't, like for the belchers, shit shows up on the floor. It's not a really big deal. For more advanced fights, I will be posting a link in the description of this video to the Fat Boss TV guides for all 3 fights that I'm covering today. And their videos cover normal, heroic, and mythic difficulty. So for higher level of difficulty, please consult their videos. They are awesome. And we're going to move on to the Butcher now. Alright, next up we have the Butcher here, and the Butcher has a few things that he does. He is, first of all, he's heavy-handed, so you need to have both tanks within about 5 yards of each other, and it's kind of honestly, when it's something like this where there isn't too much stuff that he does, I kind of like to stay close to the other tank anyway, so I didn't even know that at the time. I missed that in the Dungeon Journal, and the Dungeon Journal was the first time I took a peek at what I'm supposed to do with this guy, so yeah. The other things he does is he does Cleave and he does Tenderize, and those stack on you. So those are, they can be mitigated to an extent, while rather Tenderize can only be mitigated by block. It cannot be dodged or parried. That can be blocked by both Paladin tanks we happen to have here. And the other one, Cleave, it can be dodged, parried, or blocked from the looks of the Dungeon Journal here. So you've got that. You need to tank switch regularly to avoid the stacks getting too high. And then there's also the... he does the Cleave, which affects the entire raid, where he goes in and he just does a big cleave on a clump of players, and the more players there are, the less damage they take individually. So that seems to be a fairly standard mechanic, at least this expansion. Apart from that, he's really just like a tank and spank here. You tank switch, you follow your tanking rotation, you use the skills you learned in normal and heroic level dungeons, and you add in tank switching, and that's pretty much it with this guy. Stuff like Everbloom for heroic, I would argue, is a lot more advanced than the first wing of Highmaul. That changes as we get further on into LFR tanking, but yeah, for this is introductory, so it's not too challenging. One other random thing that I suppose I should mention is that I'm currently around level 648. For those who would like to know, my item level is around 648. I believe it was around 645 around the time frame of this video. So if you are curious, that'll be in the description below this video. Alright, next up we've got Brakenspore. So this fight was... I can't call it a disaster because nobody died. That guy that you're seeing in a second here, as soon as I get out of the raid, the Dungeon Journal there. So yeah, you see that guy right there? He's dead. The hunter there pulled, and then the other tank picked him up. And I'm focusing on picking up that fungal flesh eater here. So in the Dungeon Journal, I failed to take a very good look at it. I missed two very important mechanics that I've, upon reviewing the information, have found out. So you need to tank switch on Brakenspore to avoid the stacks of infesting spores, and also Necrotic Breath causes the target to take reduced healing, and it does a lot of damage. So you want to make sure that that's faced away from the raid. He'll just throw up all over the raid and it'll cause some trouble. And since I am new to this, I didn't do this all perfectly. So we'll see how that goes. Now I have got the fungal flesh eater picked up here. You want to tank him close to Brakenspore, and you want to tank Brakenspore close to the friendly mushrooms so that you can get that benefit of those for the entire raid. And you can see over there the tank is taking one of those necrotic breaths. And also, this is true for everybody. For the flesh eaters, you want to make sure that you interrupt decay, because if you don't, that's going to do a lot of damage to the tank. And as you can see, the other tank is begging for me to taunt Brakenspore, and I'm not doing it. Which is bad. Which is really bad. It looks like that tank could almost die, but he's been healed back up. And I've now picked up Brakenspore. However, I picked him up just in time for one of those necrotic breaths, and it went all over the damn raid. So that was less than ideal. So now I've got him, I believe I've got him tanked away from most of the raid. So that's a lot better than before. So the fungal flesh eater is just about to die. Our tank is hurting for... I am hurting for health, actually. And I popped one of my defensive cooldowns there because of the necrotic breath causing trouble. This second necrotic breath I thought was a disaster, but actually no, this... upon further review. So I think I thought at the time it was good, and then looking at this video to begin with, I thought, oh shit, that's going all over the raid. It actually isn't. It's based away from the raid as much as possible, except for that one paladin who's just kind of standing in the fire there, which, that's fine. The battle group on card. The battle group for my realm is pretty damn solid. So usually we've got some very competent players. Usually they're also fairly well geared. And I'm starting to get the hang of this. I screwed the pooch royally a few times, and if people weren't as competent as they are, this could have been a wipe. But, and yeah, that other tank is taking a shit ton of damage again. So, yeah, this time I'm cluing in and doing the proper tank switches. So, yeah, it's a trial of fire, but I'm learning from it. That's the important thing. Competent player could go into this blind and still have their entire raid survive. So, that's the important thing. I don't recommend it, but that's the point of these videos, is if you're competent, if you've got your basics down, you can survive this stuff. And you don't have to worry about the raid screaming at you. Now, depending on the community that you've got, they merely scream at you if nobody dies because you screw up one little thing. But to hell with them, if they do. If you do the fight correctly, if you do everything correctly, or at least correct enough that nobody dies, then yeah, you're doing your job. You don't have to be perfect at this level of difficulty. So, Brakenspore there is nearly dead. We have him at below 20% health and falling now. So anyway, this is the video is going to be over in about a minute or two here. So I'd like to thank you guys very much for watching this and watching my attempts at tanking LFR with little to no preparation. This video, like I said, is a just kind of to help encourage more people to be tanks, because I know there definitely is a bit of a reluctance, possibly even a fear that comes along with it, because if you F things up, it's going to be worse than a bad Heroes of the Storm game. Or at least that's what you feel like. And just, or a League of Legends game for those of you who play that. So yeah, there would be rage, salt, tears coming from the other players, is what you're afraid of. What I found on my battle group, though, is that there really isn't that much of that there. And also, these fights are not that difficult. They are the introductory raids, or introductory difficulty, I should say. They're not that challenging. And yeah, as long as you do your homework and prepare, once again, Fatboss TV is an excellent resource for raid guides. They will give you the normal, which basically LFR is normal with a few mechanics left out or a few mechanics nerfed. So yeah, if you follow Fatboss TV's guides, even just reading the dungeon journal like I am seems to be enough in most cases. We'll see how that gets to be once we get to the Blackrock Foundry. Some parts like the second wing seem to be a little intimidating there. But, yeah, anyway, for the time being, thank you very much for watching, guys. I will see you next time in part 2.